6:30 and time to call the meeting to order. Please join us in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We do have a consent agenda that follows a little bit later in the meeting. Does anybody have anything on the consent agenda they'd like to have reviewed? Okay. Moving on to special activities, we have some oaths of office. The first one is the Board of Zoning Appeals, and that is for Joe Ellis.
He has not yet arrived. If we could delay him, sir, and start with his
Delay
oath.
and move on to the Zoning Commission, and we have John Edelman, Bill Haynes, Dennis Pickett, and Stacy. So I'd like to have Bill and Stacy come up first. If we could.
We've got Bill, so we're not as good at baseball this time.
So if you would raise your right hand. I, and state your name.
I, Bill Haynes,
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will solemnly support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
that I will faithfully discharge the duties
required as an alternate member of the Zoning Commission
and execute the required duties of as an alternate member of the Zoning Commission
of Clear Creek Township,
of Clear Creek Township,
to which office I have been appointed
to which office I have been appointed
according to the law and the best of my ability.
according to the law to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You would feel constricted back there.
You get it started.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, so now we've taught you gentlemen.
Thank you.
Or we've had you.
And then we do have
Took
Mr.
much, you
Pickett here.
And Mr. Evans.
We can do you guys together.
Okay.
So if you would raise your right hand, repeat after me. I, and state your name,
I, Bill Haynes,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
required as a full member of the Zoning Commission
required as a full member of the Zoning Commission
of Clear Creek Township,
of Clear Creek Township,
to which office I have been appointed
to which office I have been appointed
according to the law and the best of my ability.
according to the law and the best of my ability.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, John. You're welcome. Thank you.
Since April 2001.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
All right, see you guys for the meeting. Thank you. We need to stay? Yeah, if you desire to, you can, but if not, I'll see you. Okay.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, we do have the fiscal office reports. Russell, please.
We need to do the,
Now, we do have, we need a motion to hire Kimberly Robinson and Jenna Fisher as a probationary, with a probationary one-year period. We're not going.
We're just open today.
Oh, we already hired?
Yeah, we already got them in. So we just got them.
Please come forward, we'll do the, if you would raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear I will support the Constitution of the United States. You both say it.
Swear to support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio.
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio.
The resolutions adopted by the Clear Creek Township Board of Trustees,
The resolutions adopted by the Clear Creek Township Board of Trustees,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
required as a police officer
required as a police officer
and police constable
and police constable
for Clear Creek Township Police Department
for Clear Creek Township Police Department
in Warren County, Ohio,
in Warren County, Ohio,
during continuance of my lawful employment.
during continuance of my lawful employment.
Congratulations. Thank Thank you. Welcome. Thank you. Welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, I misunderstood that. We did it different this last time when we, did the first time around. Did we do that?
Yeah, you
It depends on how urgent. Each other. Sometimes we will break.
No one else is watching, so we can lay that.
Just so they're efficient.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. All right, we have, resolution, fiscal officer's report, right?
That's okay, we're gonna get right to it, and I have nothing else to report other than we did get the, estimates from the county for next year. And we'll be rolling those into the budget process here in the next couple months, and, we have resolution 5184 that's required by the state to accept the rates that were set in the tax budget, and that is ready for your action tonight.
Okay, if I have any questions about 5184? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve 5184?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay?
Mr. Petersball?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay. Okay, and we have public comments. I see we have some people here in the audience, so if you would like to, anybody would like to come up and tell us why you're here, please come ahead. Come right ahead.
Okay.
If you would give us your, because this is recorded, your name and address.
Okay. My name is Richard Zediker. I live on 6401 Township Line Road.
Okay, thank you. Go right
And
ahead.
let me say something up front. I just had a few weeks ago cataract surgery. So I'm between glasses and things, so I've got reading glasses, so when I'm looking at you, this will be blurry. The reason I'm here tonight, my wife and I, is that we have a serious concern, and I've been talking with Jeff, mainly Jeff. We have a serious concern about the new neighbor that has built a property on the south side of us. This was farmland, and the farmer, Dolores DeWitt, he's sold off 5-acre lots. So these were cornfields. These were cornfields that we've had to convert. I've got handouts for the trustees. So this is our property. The audience. This is our property on Township Line Road. And I would like you to appreciate, by the way, I lived in the Springboro, I lived in Springboro 40 years, 1979 to 2017 when we moved out here. So to me, Warren County was like, Warren County, Clear Creek Township, like first cousin, brother of Springboro. So I'd like you to appreciate a very nice property, well maintained. As I said before, these were cornfields, and it's a big job converting a cornfield into a yard. I'm also representing Shelley and Jim Hepperly, who are on the north side of us. I think everybody knows the really nice log cabin house. Everybody knows it. So that's the next picture. And they're saying they are supporting everything that I'm asking for tonight. Not that it's a big list, but they're in full support. And these, my wife and I and the Hepperleys are the salient neighbors, because across the street on the east side is farmland. Behind us are trees, woods, and farmland. So it's Hepperleys, us, the new neighbor house built, and then on the other side of them is another house that was built within the last year and a half. Now, what's interesting is the owners of the home, they are sisters, and then they have husbands, so their family, the people who just built the house next to us, that's the next picture.
The red house?
The red house. They have both their parents living with them. So one thing I want to point out, and I haven't formed a speech or whatever, but they live with them. So they've got her parents, his parents live with them. One of the results of that is there's 5 vehicles that park there, 3 pickup trucks and 2 cars. And one of the things that concerns us, which Jeff tells me, not really anything you can do about it, and I'm not trying to be overbearing here, but they park randomly in the yard. Now, I don't have a picture with me, but back here where these trees are, if you look at the next picture after that, I don't know of any better word to say than it looks like junk to me. They will park some of the trucks up against that woods trees, and then you can see these weeds. This is our fence. We put in real nice, I don't know if you saw it in the first picture, but ornamental aluminum fence across the front, then a real nice, not metal poles, but wood poles fence, 4-foot fence. These weeds, which is mainly thistles, 75% of that yard is thistles. It was 5 to 6 feet high. So I came over and talked to Jeff, said, Jeff, this is really crazy. This is out of control. I don't know about government and townships that much, but I started doing some research. And the research that I did in the surrounding communities, I checked Springboro again, which I never had to check in 40 years. I didn't know, but I never had to check. In Springboro, it's 8 inches. Weeds and grass, higher than 8 inches is a nuisance, you gotta mow it. Washington Township, to the north of us, 8 inches. In fact, at their website, they state, Ohio Revised Code, Ohio State law is 8 inches for weeds and grass as far as being a nuisance. Wayne Township, Waynesville, talked to them today. They have a new lady who's only been there 4 weeks, but she thought it was around 8 to 10 inches, but she wasn't really sure. She's only been there 4 weeks. Lebanon, I've got all the, Lebanon is 10 inches. To my concern and disappointment, Clear Creek Township is 18 inches in a development and 36 inches when you're not in a developed, quote unquote, where we live. And gentlemen, the thing that I'm saying is, people who want to skirt the system, the ordinances, this basically says to them, you don't have to mow your grass. Grass doesn't grow 36 inches high. We both grew up in like country settings, on the edge of towns, our country. We played in those fields. Grass lays over. The weeds don't. It grows, as you can see in the picture, the weed grows very high. And what I'm getting at is, when they park their cars or trucks against that tree stand and all these weeds, it looks like the beginnings of a salvage yard. You know, when you drive down the road and you see a junkyard and you see cars against trees, and I mean, that's what we're living with. And one of the pictures here is the front yard. That weed stuff, it goes all the way out to the front. And it's mainly thistles. And it's not just ugly. The thistles bloomed and went to seed. And our yard, particularly the front yard, because it slopes up, they're on the southwest side of it, so the prevailing winds blow that way. It looked like we had a snow dusting in our yard. And the last picture, you're probably wondering what this is, this aluminum mess. That's our heat pump. That heat pump is on the north side of our house. They're on the south side. Their property's on the south side. This is on the north side of our house. And our heat pump, those cooling and heating fins, were getting choked off with thistle seeds. I called Outstanding Heating and Cooling. They said it'd be $240 if they came out and cleaned that between a service call and doing the work. I ended up doing it myself, spent an hour and a half, 2 hours doing that. And so, what I'm saying is, there's a bit of a history here, gentlemen. The salient neighbors, Pepperleaf, us, the neighbor, and their family. their family who moved in a year and a half ago didn't comply with the tree buffer. We didn't know about the tree buffer because our builder, Michael's Custom Homes, didn't give us the information. Jeff sent us a letter, which was rather alarming. I'll tell you, I'm a by-the-book kind of guy. I pay my taxes, you can check me. I don't even think I've had a traffic ticket in 30 years. So it was pretty intimidating to me. So I came in, talked to Jeff. Jeff said, if you put in 4 trees here, this was like July, middle of summer, and it was hot. If you put in 4 trees now and the rest in the fall, that would show progress, and we're okay. And I did it, didn't I? The neighbors 2 doors down, they didn't comply with the tree buffer. And they got out of it on a loophole. They put in saplings, which kind of grinded me and Hepperly. About 2 months ago, Jim Hepperly said to me, you know what, Dick, what makes me mad? I look around here, you got trees, I got trees, I don't see any trees on those 2 properties. And so there's a little bit of a pattern of behavior here. These people have not complied, right, Jeff? They're in violation of the tree buffer.
Correct.
And now I come to learn, and I need to describe their property, how it's laid out. Now I come to learn that they're planning on putting in a wildflower garden. Let me tell you how the lot is laid out for them. These are fairly narrow lots. Ours is 200 feet wide, theirs is 250, not as deep as ours. Their driveway goes on the left side, the south side of their lot. I'm guessing it's 50 feet in. Now, I didn't go over and snoop and measure, but I saw an aerial view. Their driveway goes 50 feet in from their property line between them and their sister and brother-in-law. It goes up to about within 50, 60 feet of the house. Then it branches across. It's not really the front, it's the end of the house. They built the house sideways for some reason. It goes in front of the end of the house and around into a gravel parking lot. So I asked Jeff, because that's where I found this out. So Jeff, where are they planning on putting in this wildflower garden? Jeff said, on the north side of the driveway towards you guys. That is 4/5 of their property. And what we fear, even when Jeff came out, visited, and they had some guy come out, they don't even have a mower big enough to mow this place. They didn't mow it all. They didn't have it all mowed at the time. There is weeds and stuff already. I don't go over and measure. I would be willing to bet it's already 3 feet high. And our concern, our fear, is that what they will do, they're just gonna have a tractor come out and bush hog it down, get a couple bags of wildflower seeds, throw wildflower seeds around, and call it a day, and we're done, and we don't have to maintain the property. That is our fear. I would invite you to drive by and look at this. And speaking of driving, we have driven around. I think, first of all, we've been in the area 40 years, but we're a little new to Clear Creek Township. We have driven around Clear Creek Township, you name it. Lower Springboro Road, Utica, over here on the north side. We have driven around, and we think we're driven by your farms. You won't find another place like this. And in this day and age, and I'll tell you, gentlemen, we had to pay for Harley Rocky. We had to pay for, I don't know if you know Phil Craig in Ridgeville. He has a little bobcat. Great guy. He helped me a bunch establishing the yard. But my wife and I were out picking up flagstone, throwing it in his bucket. And he did Harley raking, where he got the rocks up. And then he did soil preparation and some grading. And I paid him to do all this and plant grasses. We did all that. We went to that effort to establish the kind of property that I think on your website says, you gentlemen are saying, we want Clear Creek Township to be the finest township in Ohio. We think we and the Hepperleys support that initiative and goal. We don't think these things. I'm sorry?
How recent is this figure?
July. That's when I came to see, Jeff. I say,
They have
Jeff.
cut this once since
They
July.
cut it
Did they
once.
cut part of it? Not all?
They didn't cut it all, but they just had somebody come out and bush hog it. I mean, this,
Well, I don't know that we can do anything about just bush hogging it. They don't have to make it a yard. But they do need to mow it. I mean, of course, they only mow part of it.
Yeah, the entire 5 acres was not mowed in its entirety. There were some issues.
Yeah.
but the bulk of it was no good faith effort, and we're having this discussion.
And I was gonna ask you, could we maybe not get the Clear Creek Township ordinance changed? I got the ordinance, I brought it with me, I think. But it says 18 inches 36, I mean, all these other communities are 8 inches. And you know what, I think I understand why you want it to be higher, we don't need to get in that per se, but that's gonna kill us. It gives them carte blanche not to take care of their property. I can't do anything about where they park their cars, I understand that. But I at least want the yard to be not halfway, properly maintained. So I would tell you, I got a little bit of experience in real estate. I sold my home myself in Springboro on Westminster Way, and I asked realtors, hey, they came over and wanted to sell them. Hey, if you can cover your commission and get that much more money, you got it. So I'm not dumb, what I'm getting at. They said, no, we can't. I sold it in a week. I would suggest, and this matters, because some of the townships I read, I think it's Washington Township, to maintain the highest value, this is with ordinances and Grassland, to maintain the highest values of our property, Washington Township, we have this 8-inch, and if somebody violating that call, I am guessing, right now, if I had to sell our property, they have dinged our property value by, I'm guessing, maybe $50,000 to $75,000. You drive up to our property and you see that next door, you think, I don't want to buy this place unless I can really get a deal. So I'm asking for your help. I don't know if you have other tools besides that ordinance, but that ordinance that says 18 and 36 inches basically says to me, for people like this, and I don't want to be critical, I hardly knew, although I introduced myself to them, and I told them about Phil Craig about a year and a half ago before they built, about here's a way to do it, and not, spend a mint. So we're begging for help with this. And I'll answer any questions, but I invite you to drive by. The pictures don't even do it justice.
Yeah, well, I will drive by for sure.
And you can come in our driveway too, because you have to come in. When you drive by, there's a lot of trees out front.
Right.
And you can't see back into there, so if you want to come in our driveway, you're more than welcome.
I think I graduated from high school with your son, so.
Yeah,
Richard?
Yeah. Okay. Pretty sure. I
Yeah.
recognize that name.
Yeah.
The 5-acre threshold, if I'm not mistaken, is where this changes again, is that not true? I'm trying to, I can't remember the ordinance in its entirety,
When we put
so.
it together, we had platted subdivisions.
Right.
And we had unplatted land. The unplatted land was left 36-inch height. So 5-acre tracts, historically, when this body looked at those, would say, okay, let's put a picture frame around the edges of that property instead of having them mow in their entirety.
Okay.
But in this case, we asked for it to be mowed without a picture frame. So that's where we're at.
Okay.
And there's nothing after the plat subdivision, I mean, we don't have anything in the middle currently.
Correct. You're either platted ground or you're unplatted ground.
One other thing I wanted to mention, I'm getting ready to spend close to $10,000 to put in a mound 200 foot long along our fence line and put in, and we bought the trees from Grandma's Garden Sunday, and 20 trees. It's gonna cost me close to $10,000, and I'm thinking, I've done everything right, we've done everything right. You tell me where we've done something wrong on our property. We've done everything right, and now we're gonna have to expend even more money to make up for somebody who doesn't wanna adhere to what is commonly accepted behavior in a it's not a farm, it's a residential property, because you have to declare that. If you're gonna keep it farm right, you guys know this, you have to declare, I'm gonna keep it a farm, I'm gonna farm this many acres, and I gotta show a profit in 3 years. These are residential, this is not farm. So we're sick.
Okay, well, we'll have some discussion about this, and, what to think about, is there something we need to do between a platted subdivision, because this is platted, it's 5 acres, so it's still, but it's not really considered a platted subdivision.
It's more of a surveyed subdivision than a plat.
Right.
So we could define that. I think I know where you're headed, and I would agree. I think we need to revisit this as another category between
Yep.
what we all own, which is
I have.
10 plus acres and,
I have a neighbor that has thistles, and I have thistles, I have a farm, and I have thistles too, but I keep them mowed, because I don't want them growing.
Right.
But they're growing from my neighbor. Now, I have talked to her, and she says she's gonna get them mowed, but she's she wants them because the birds like the seeds, and she said.
The finches do,
Yeah, they do, they're so
Yeah.
pretty.
and heat pumps love them.
air conditioners, regular air conditioners do, trust me.
So there's
It is
my
something
back-
wrong.
Mr. Zediker, because I'm not familiar with this whole property, can you tell me, you've now mentioned, I think, 4 properties, there's a set of brothers that live in 2 separate houses?
The owners are 2 sisters.
Okay,
Two
so they live in
sisters.
the same house?
No,
Right next door.
Right next
the
door, okay.
two lots down from us was a house built about a year and a half ago.
Okay.
Where her sister and brother live.
Which looks like a fairly good sized
It's
two-story?
it's a pretty nice property, except they did skirt the tree buffer.
Okay, but they mow it.
They mow it. I'll tell you, if you
They
put
mow
trees,
them over to their.
if you put trees in the next door property, you wouldn't even be able to see them.
Right.
The tree buffer would be worthless.
Well, let's look at this and see if there's something we should do. You know, I think way back when we were doing this, you know, when we have farmers large, 2, 3, 4, 500 acre lots, or pieces of property, and the farmers don't really get to mow all of those all the time to keep them to 8 inches. I mean, it doesn't work.
I'm great with
I
that.
know you have.
But around the houses,
Yeah, no,
I'll tell you too, Friday, I went down and visited my mother-in-law, who lives in Bainbridge, Ohio. So you go 73 around Wilmington out that belt, through Hillsborough. My daughter drove, I watched like a hawk. I found no other property that looks like this. I challenge you, my wife said to say this, I challenge you to drive around Clear Creek Township. And-
Try to kill some thistles, I mean.
Yeah.
But to see
Oh,
something
I
like
can tell
this.
you where there's others, because we've had issues with them too, so I get what you're saying, I think we all understand.
Yeah.
And I think this is an interesting dynamic, because we have this potential to continue to, people want more than an acre, acre and a half, which is, through our zoning, going to be most of our developments, when they become platted subdivisions, because of the sewer and water restrictions. So, I get it,
Let's take a look at this and see if there's.
yeah, I think we probably need to revisit the gap between the
Oh,
two.
You don't usually see this in nice areas, big houses like you guys.
Exactly.
That's what I was a little bit confused by, because the house appears to be a nice
My
looking home
daughter,
that they built.
I don't know if you remember my daughter Kelly, who was Richard's.
I remember he had a sister, I don't
Well, she was
remember.
criticizing me, why didn't you guys check into all this before you moved in? You're dumb for not doing that, on the drive down. I said, Kelly, we thought anybody that could afford an $85,000 to $100,000 lot would build a nice home and take care of it.
Yeah, absolutely, you would think that, absolutely. I
Well,
would agree.
I learned you can't assume anything.
Well, that's fair.
Well, we will take,
We'll
we'll
take
take a
another look
look
at it.
at this and see if
Well,
there's, maybe we do need to make some
I
adjustments.
hope you can, because we're sick.
Okay.
Well, and Mr. Zediker, honestly, we've made this statement many times through our, looking at our taxes and everything else, we're not seeing $200,000 homes going up. We're seeing nice $500,000+ homes going up. And those people have a certain level of service that they want, they have a certain level of expectation too, so we've got to be cognizant of that. And
It's a township in transition.
It is.
The farmers are starting, unfortunately, you know
And
what?
we all three understand, I mean, I'm not gonna speak for those, but I can tell you, based on the work I've done with them, we all understand that very, very well.
And I'm gonna be a hypocrite. We don't wanna see anybody else move out here and take down all this natural land.
You want to be the last one in.
That's called closing the door behind you.
Yeah.
Everything's
So,
fine.
anyway.
But we appreciate the information.
Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Well, thank you for the time letting me get it all out, because I was concerned that if I'd be able to tell the story.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay.
So what, would Jeff then follow up with
Yeah,
me or
we'll-
something? or-
We'll get back with you, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
No, they're Come on up.
This is like a second home to me anymore.
Yeah.
But you always sit in the back, I don't understand.
Yeah, there's a certain thing about keeping a low profile.
I understand.
Until the time
You
comes.
should sit up here and try that.
For the official record, my name is David Trich, I live at 1974 East Lytle, 5 Points Road. I'm gonna wear two hats tonight. First one is from FEMA Urban Search and Rescue. The Ohio Task Force one is one of the 28 FEMA Urban Search and Rescue teams that had deployed to Hurricane Dorian as well as many other deployments. And I would like to just, commend the fire department as well as yourselves, the government officials, for the fire department for supporting personnel to respond with that team. We had personnel from the department go with us on Dorian, as well as many other deployments, and this was, again, a time where they stepped forward, and without the support of the government agency itself, we wouldn't have the personnel to be able to do what we do, so we certainly appreciate it.
Who was that, Chief?
Lieutenant Noel and Lieutenant Beecher.
So it was a good response, and both of them are always an asset to the team, always have been.
Thank you.
Okay, now I'll flip on the
But.
Didn't know you wore that one, so this is upward as we go.
However, yeah, once you get to a certain level and they make you chairman of committees, it's like, no, I don't like government. Anyway, the other hat that I'll put on is kind of taking a step back, and if this is an inappropriate meeting to address it, I was just coming back to kind of do a follow-up with David Oakes and the progress. Right now, where things stand, and as of 2 weeks ago, I was getting ready to go out the door of the deployment. I look out, and they're starting to do some work in the front, in the front of our property. They did start it. They got about 50% done, and then all of a sudden, they disappeared. It was like a ghost in the wind, and if I don't continue to express it, people don't hear it and they don't understand what's going on. David has stepped forward and started that action, but then all of a sudden it progresses through Matrix 5, who's the company that he owns that's doing that, and then the company they subcontract to. So we get to a certain point, and then we still have dirt, and one side of the yard is finished, the other side is not. So I didn't know whether this was an appropriate date, time for bringing this forward, but that's kind of the status of things right now.
Do you have an understanding from Mr. Oakes on when things are going to be finished? Are we still hitting that 30-day timeline that he started and he will finish, so we're within that time frame in your mind or not?
That's altogether probable,
okay.
That he is within that window of time, which that would give him another couple of weeks.
Okay. I didn't know if there was any further
Yeah.
discussion, or you guys refined that since he finally did start.
He
Because that was
did-
where we were
he
trying
has
to push
dis-
a start.
No, he has not discussed anything further with me.
Okay.
So, but as I was leaving the house that day, I spoke to the people who were doing the work, and they indicated, well, we're supposed to do this, and we're supposed to landscape this over here, and I said, well, it's not even finished, it needs to be graded out, and we need to have dirt added. In fact, the one thing that was rather disappointing is, when they first started this project years ago, I had paid for all the topsoil to be brought in to grade out that land, and then when they started digging up, they hauled that all away. And I said, you're literally taking my property. So they brought it back, but then when they started this work 2 weeks ago, they used half of it to fill in the work that they were supposed to be doing. So it's like this, I don't know where things are beginning, ending, one phase of his project, one phase of his, commitment to following through. So I just anymore shake my head and say, well, when the dust settles, we'll know what's going to happen. So,
Well, I can ask, we know that Lance is going to be at the meeting later tonight. I'll ask and see if I can figure out what's going on first.
okay, I would appreciate
Just to
it.
give you an update, he attended our last meeting, and we did, after doing the reading, and we tabled it to want to see progress, and he basically, Steve, as I recall, I think it sounds like he did exactly what you said, and then it sounds like he hasn't done anything since. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's as much progress as, excuse me, sorry.
And the rest of what he had agreed to with me, as far as being able to get my support on building the 2 homes that he is in such dire need of, that I understand will follow the completion of the agreement. But what we're at right now is just recovering our property back to the way it
Yeah, you
was
can't, yeah.
before they
exactly.
tore it up.
Yeah, we
So-
can't do one step forward, two steps back, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Jeff and I have communicated about several options there, so I'm kind of, because of my involvement with the rest of that development, I'll be sure to stay on top of it, and I'll talk with Mr. Oates again as well.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I'll follow up.
Thank you, I appreciate
Okay,
that.
thank you.
And your comments. too.
Yeah, thank you very
Well,
much for saying that, that's,
Always well appreciated, and we draw from about 50 different agencies that go as far south as canine handlers from Tennessee, somebody from up in Michigan, and when we draw from people that far, a lot of times those people fall through the cracks. But at least here I've got a personal connection, so
Yep.
I like to speak up when I can.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
thank
gentlemen.
you.
Okay, moving on to new business, we have the fire district, a request to accept a donation of $1,000 from Enterprise Products.
Yeah, this is the annual donation that they make similar to the police department last year.
Is there a motion to accept this donation?
Second.
Mr. Mearsfall?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Anything else, Steve? Okay. Police department, we have a request to outfit 3 new cruisers at the sum of $65,000 plus, 2 Chevrolet Tahoes and 1 Dodge truck. Anything in particular you want to point out there, Chief?
Yeah, I don't, break out the individual costs for you, Mike. Park Public Safety, is who we always use to outfit the cars, that's $47,991.50. Park is our computers, we cycle those computers out every 3 years, and we try to buy them along with the outfit now, so it just gets absorbed from that car cost, that's $10,543.80. And then box zones were required by ORC to mark the cars in order to do traffic, so we gotta put stickers on it. $7,435 for that total, so I just asked the board, we've already purchased the cars, when they come in, we're ready to go ahead and then we get in front of that and order some of this product, so that's what I'm bringing to you now.
Anybody have any questions for the chief before we entertain a motion? Okay, is there a motion to approve this purchase?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsfall?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay. And anything else, chief?
I have some in staff, but I'll look at it.
Okay. And we have the road department. Please come up, if you would, state your name for us.
Excuse me, I've been talking all day. I'm an 8th grade robotics teacher. My name is Carl Childs. I work as a seasonal employee for the Clear Creek Township Parks Department. I have some items here for you. And this is about the disc golf course for Bill Hoffman. Property on Hoffman Prairie. And the first page is material costs for an 18-hole disc golf course. And basically what my desire and my focus on disc golf is more ball golf oriented, because that's where I started, but I've played both since the 70s. And my favorite part of teaching is when I get to do civil engineering and that kind of stuff. So the property has always lended itself. The second page is a picture of Google image of what the park actually would look like. And that uses a large portion of the park that is traditionally has been used. Since 2001, we have done at least one weekend a summer, done a temporary disc golf course there. Bill always loved driving down and talking to us. And in the early days, before it was park property, we'd camp out there and he'd come out and sit by the fire with us and stuff. And so the desire is, and the project is to make the disc golf course a premier course. The Dayton Disc Golf Club is been asked and to put in a bid for one of the Professional Disc Golf Association's World Championships. And the course here would add to that, very much so. It would be one of the top courses in Southwest Ohio. We already currently have within the Dayton area in a 60-mile radius. We have over 60 courses. and 5 of those are rated in the top 10 in the state, and 2 of those are rated in the top 10 in the world. In this course, Echo Valley, keeping the name that Bill always used for his hair rides and everything else, I'm sure a lot of you that grew up around here know quite well. Echo Valley at Huffman Prairie, and keeping that and doing it to use as much of that part of his property. There's currently just walking trail, well, overgrown woods in that, with staying out of the Boy Scout area, staying off the steep part of the hill except for going down it once and then working our way back up like we always have with the temporary course, and utilizing part of the property from Patricia Allen so that the parking, as we've done the last 4 years over there with the temporary tournament, so that the parking is already there, done and paved. All those facilities are already maintained by the Parks Department. The second page, which is the bottom half, or the third page, which is the bottom half of the second page, is the Eagle Ridge course, the Eagle Scout course that we did several years ago, and worked with the Eagle Scout to put that course in. A couple of the problems with that was some of the key areas were kind of close to the shelter and the walking path, and a couple of baskets are right by the pond where a lot of people have been fishing, especially the last couple of years. So, in redesigning that course to make it away from the ponds and away from the shelter a little bit, is the page you see there, is that design. And again, those are just quick Google images that I did in an hour or so. I do a lot of them. I set up the portable disc golf course about 12 times a year in different parts. So, on the cost, or the next page, the next 2 pages are baskets. 2 of the best baskets on the market, long-lasting, good quality. They're used in a lot of professional tournaments and things like that. And then the last page is a picture of a tee sign that the club just paid to put in out at Germantown. Any questions? I could talk about it a lot more. I don't know what all you would like to know at this point.
Couple questions.
Yes.
Number one, the pricing that you have, is this state bid pricing, do you know, or is it?
I have quotes from all the companies, and that's easy to, when I do stuff with the city, Centerville, I provide the contact, that information, and let them do the bidding and get the price. Because sometimes different municipalities, especially with what you're buying, as I propose doing both courses, because the Eagle Ridge baskets are, nicest way to say it, about the lowest quality you can buy at the time that the course went in because of the money that he was able to raise. And one of the goals here is to have, as I have on the bottom of both of the course images, the Eagle Ridge course, the PDGA, Professional Disc Golf Association, rates courses just like the PGA does in ball golf. And they do it with slope, rating, and par. And they do it by skill level, just like you have the different tee pads in tee areas. So with the PDGA, the lowest level is red, which is like a beginner or youth. The next level would be white, which would be kind of like people who've been playing for a year or two. And then you get into more of the advanced players, the blue and the gold. And the gold would be then a professional touring pros and that level. So the baskets would have to be of that quality. They wouldn't be able to be of a lower quality. Now the best basket, in my opinion, after 40 years of playing this game, you won't see on there. And that's the Disc Golf Association Mach 10. They're a great basket. They're the longest lasting basket. They have the longest warranty. They cost $500 a piece. And the company, over the last year and a half of me, I've been working with them for 20 years, they've been getting harder and harder to work with. Some people are speculating, are they even going to be in business in the next 20 years, 15 years? Somebody will probably buy out their basket design and go from there. So the baskets that I have on there are probably the two best. In negotiating 28 baskets, I would say both of those companies, for those baskets would probably come down in the $350 range instead of the $400 range. But again, that comes with bulk and the bidding
No,
process and that kind of stuff.
We get a different level of pricing generally because it's negotiated
Right.
statewide, so. How many people play disc golf?
How many people play disc golf? That's interesting. Greene County put in a disc golf course at Carroll Park. And they weren't sure how many people were playing disc golf. They acquired the Blue Jacket property and another property next to it, totaling over 300 acres. And one of their desires was to see how many people really are playing disc golf. Because they've got a beautiful piece of property with a nice, creek running through it, and everything else, nice hills. So they put in a counter at the disc golf course. It's primarily just a disc golf course, Carroll Park. You don't go there for almost anything, except for the neighbors walk their dogs there, because there's a couple dead ends that come into the park. And since January 1st, when they put the counter in, that number is over 17,000 people. Just going to that one little park to play disc golf.
Is there a facility at Armco Park?
There's a new one that just went at Armco Park. I'm not sure the numbers. I tried to get those from him. But that's, I don't think he had the numbers, because they're not doing it as a pay-to-play course like they do the ball golf course. Which one of the things they originally wanted to do was to go to a pay-to-play, which in a lot of areas, some areas have done that successfully. The most successful in this part of the country would be Ann Arbor and the Michigan area between Detroit and Ann Arbor, because they've done it for over 20 years. And they do a county pass, monthly pass, a summer pass, and stuff like that. So locals aren't paying a lot of money, but the people that travel and play their courses do pay $5 to play.
And the two sets of tee boxes, I'm assuming, are...
Yeah, if you look
four
at the
different
bottom of the
levels.
map for,
Yeah, I saw that.
it has the blue tees would be for the advanced and the normal people that really want to be pros, kind of like those scratch golfers on the golf course. But when they go out and actually play with the pros, that is the gold, and they find out that they really just aren't that good. So that's where they have that. And then if you look at the map on the Eagle Ridge, part of the redesign on that was to make those the red and the white level, so that all four levels of the PDGA standards and skill levels would be accommodated in one park.
Tony, how much do we see at PAP right now as far as disc golf goes?
They're played often. I mean,
Okay.
there's people there every day playing during the day. If you get on Google and search the park and look through the comments, people are playing and commenting. And that's just a small course with only 9
Right.
baskets.
Right.
So there's a group we're not getting because it's not challenging enough, not big enough.
Not up to the county.
And the baskets, because it's a single chain, it's, doesn't catch the disc very well at all. And you've played there, right? It doesn't seem to catch them very well, so that's gonna keep people from coming to play it. So that was the primary reason, in upgrading the basket.
Could you talk a little bit about possibly getting some sponsors and stuff like that, that you had talked about with me?
I've reached out to a lot of people. I've been doing this for a very long time, and I've been through many of these meetings. Reached out to people in this area and people that are familiar with the Yucca Valley Disc Golf Course. And the first person I reached out to was Tony Waterfall, the one that started in 2001. And, about sponsorship, that kind of thing, paying for baskets, tee pads. When we did the Handyman Ace Hardware course in Fairborn, it was all sponsored by Handyman Ace Hardware. And so they paid for everything. And that was a $25,000 donation. In this area, looking to this course, because it's been a favorite, you can look through some of those posts and comments and things, and people, 4 years ago, I moved it down to one weekend. Because as some of you might know, when you see me out there at the park, I do about 80% of the work myself. And I'm not that young. So I moved them down to one weekend a year, and I said, I just can't do anymore. And so you're either gonna have to come out and help her. That's it. So I've talked to the people. I have a very large, no definite, but I talked to the owner of one of the large disc golf companies in our area that is familiar with Echo Valley and plays it every year that he can get off. And he has actually offered to provide all 28 baskets of one of those 2 baskets that are there. He doesn't want to work with DJ either, because he's tried, and on other courses that he's sponsored and has done this with. And he also offered that they can do, instead of it being a yellow Innova band or a white veteran band, that metal band is almost 3 inches, doing a custom wrap with Clear Creek Township, Echo Valley, Huffman Prairie, Eagle Ridge, and Eagle Scout type background, that kind of stuff that could be designed by someone in the township in coordination with us and our artists and that kind of stuff, and actually provide all 28 baskets for both courses with just having his little logo, which is literally 2 inches wide by 3 inches tall, on the side of the baskets, and just a mention on the course map that baskets donated by. And then I've also talked to several people, because in a lot of courses, it's hard to find somebody with $10,000, $15,000, $25,000. So we do a lot of hole sponsors. And you want to sponsor a hole? Sure, how much is it? So looking at a price of around $250 to $300 a hole, I already have 13 people that are willing to sponsor a hole of the 17 holes that we need sponsored. The one downhill hole, hole number 5, I personally am going to sponsor if the township does not want to, for Bill Hoffman, because it plays down the hill right at his house, or former side of his house. So I already have 13 of the people that are willing to commit to doing that, because this is a loved course. This will get play from people driving by. Caesar's Ford going in, we've been working on that. They're pouring concrete T-pads. And just to give you an idea, concrete T-pads for Caesar's Ford Park, they're putting 3 T-pads per course, 54 T-pads, and they're paying $53,000 down. And they did not competitively bid it. Or if they did, they stacked the bidding big time, because they had 3 other people trying to offer them bids and they wouldn't take them. So with the T-pads, the whole sponsorship of $250 to $300 would cover both T-pads and the T-signs with just the name of the hole sponsored by Tony Waterfall Portable Disc Golf Course on hole 1. Would cover all of that. And
would those be concrete T-pads?
Concrete T-pads. There are other T-pads, and some people they like the AstroTurf T-pads and stuff. You have to do the same base, and they wear out, depending on the type of base you put underneath, they wear out relatively quickly. And unlike ball golf, where you're basically just standing still and swinging the club, with disc golf, you're doing a lot of movement, dragging the feet, twisting the ankles, the toes, and that kind of stuff. So those turf pads are not going to last very long. People that have had them in for 2 years are already turning them around or replacing them. So they would be concrete T-pads. And one of the things that the Dayton Disc Golf does, and we've been doing for a very long time, is providing the labor to actually pour it, to be there for the pour. We frame some up. We prefer when working with a large municipality or a city park, always prefer that the city workers do the prep work and the framing, because they have the equipment, saves them a lot of money, us trying to rent equipment. So that always helps. But we have a lot of people that are very familiar in finishing 5 by 10 foot concrete pads for T-pads.
I have not ventured into this part of Hoffman Reserve. How much clearing work are we gonna have to do?
Well, I can actually, if I can answer that before he does. On the bottom of the map, on both of them, I have the amount that's already cleared. The area for the Hoffman course is a little, nearly 50% cleared.
Right.
As far as large clearing, and the, at Eagle Ridge redesign, probably closer to 95% totally cleared already. I did most of that, either during my volunteer time or during some of my time working for the parks.
Do we have, my brain goes to long-term maintenance of that clearing. I understand the clearance to get it started, but how labor intensive is that? I know that those woods are pretty dense.
We've been looking at, I've talked to Scott about it, but we've been looking at some machinery to take care of our trails.
Right.
Our existing trails.
Right.
That machinery could have a dual purpose and be useful to maintain fairways and edges. So
that leads me to my next question, which would be, how does this, I don't have an overlay to know where the trails go. I mean, I know where schools use it for cross-country as well as others.
Colored pens?
So when he started,
I could actually draw the trails on that map for you. I know them very well. I've been working on the property for 15 years.
so when he started talking about the course, that was one of my issues, that we didn't want to disrupt the use of the trails.
Right.
For the people that are using it. So on the Hoffman Reserve, there's basically an outer loop that a lot of people use, and there's lots of cut-through trails.
Right.
You know, and there's 3 little sets of inner trails that Bill always liked to walk, but hardly anybody else uses them. So what he did was basically put the tee pads close to the trails, but the baskets are usually away from the trail. So you're either throwing away from the trail or throwing up to the trail, but not crossing the trails and not interfering with the trails, with the basket placement.
Well, I've been known to hit a wedge over a green, so I guess my question to that would be, if that frisbee goes, the disc, goes past, that would be another piece of it that I would be concerned about.
Yeah, and there are some areas where
We have-
when we have the 5Ks or
Right.
we have to close the course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I know that quite a few people.
That's the outer loop?
That's the outer loop. I started to get wrong here on the, because that's actually a trail that goes down the hill.
Okay.
This all right here is the steep hill
Right. Okay.
above the driveway.
And I also asked him to stay out of the area that we currently have the scouts camp in. We're going
Right.
to continue that usage, so.
Yeah. And that's in the back part behind the, and on the scout side, they actually can get a merit badge for disc golf.
So if my math is correct, you've got somebody to donate the baskets, which takes it 11.2 off this number, and another 3,900 for sponsors, whole sponsors. I guess I have 2 questions.
Well, yep.
My life background is in what you call ball golf. I call it golf, so
I know.
forgive me. 19 baskets and locks?
There's 18 holes in a practice basket, just like you have a practice putting green.
Okay. Why would we only do sponsors for 13 of the holes?
No, I already have
You already have.
13 people that are willing to
Okay,
commit.
okay.
So the 18 holes would be no problem. I would not sell hole sponsors for the Eagle Ridge course.
Understood. So that changes that number again.
I in no way think that's appropriate.
So, I'm going to brass tacks. We're all 3 salesmen, so here's brass tacks.
That's
for me.
okay.
You're asking us if you can build another golf course and upgrade the course we have.
Mm-hmm.
You're asking our outlay to be $4,900 if my math is correct, roughly.
Yeah, I was thinking somewhere between 5,000 and 7,000, depending on where things ended up.
Maybe they'll get some people might back out on
It's an intriguing use to me of that property, because there's, I mean, to me, it's a limited use.
I was fortunate enough to go out with Bill on a couple occasions, he wanted to come out to see the golf tournament. I did that. It was fun, because he was excited about it. And it's a cool sport, I mean, I can see why people enjoy it, that's for sure.
I know it's becoming more popular.
It's the fastest growing sport in the world.
thing I like about it is that it fits Bill would like it.
I can tell you that I started playing a little bit recently, before I even knew we even had this tournament down there at Echo Valley, and I went up to the store in Dayton. The people up there were talking about this almost like a mythical course that appeared once a year, and I had no idea what they were talking about. Turned out it was this course, and
Well, now we're gonna lose our mystique.
there's some
No, there's a lot of people around the
We still-
country that are interested
but we
to
still
come
have
play
music
here.
festivals. The Indigenous Music Festival, keep
Yeah.
it mystique.
I do know people are very excited, and I know Carl's got a lot of ties, and he even mentioned having an open day and having like some of the best players in the country come out, stuff like that.
I think it's a great use for those hillsides.
From my perspective, we've talked about it, we struggle with
There's not a big expense for
maintenance wise, right? That's
Well,
my concern.
I put on there on the bottom of both those maps, the Eagle Ridge portion is already 100% maintained, except for the small portion that we cut out into the woods to redesign it, but that more than likely won't be grass for a very long time. The Echo Valley side, nearly 35 to 40% of it is already mowed on a weekly to bi-weekly basis, and probably another 20% of it is done at least monthly or bush hog, or done with the big tractor. Getting used to all these different things are out there at the park.
It's not a big expense maintenance-wise, because you're really doing most of it now.
Correct. It's just there may be a need for a new piece of equipment, which I was looking at getting anyway because of some other issues that we had, so I'm not saying buy a piece of equipment just because of this.
No, I got you.
Steve said maybe we could have put a horse over there.
You know, I was listening to that, and I could cut that thing down in about an hour.
We all three have that capability.
No, I know that with the properties you live on.
Throwing disc at 6 in the morning.
So we've already done some of the prep work
And we're not
already.
interfering with the fields over there, the soccer fields?
Correct.
Complex, okay.
That was important too, and everything's not in my way. I mean, I wanted to make sure we still had access to everything that we need to access with tractors and backhoes if we ever need to, so everything's off the trail.
You guys want to, budget-wise, if we said, okay, we want to do something up to $7,500, for a number that everybody's agreeable on, have we got that much money that we could use for this?
Absolutely.
I have money in my projects fund. We actually came
You got
in
enough for
way under
Oh.
on our
you got enough
demolition
for
costs.
right now. Okay.
Oh, for the house and everything?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So we budgeted and the bid came
I
in.
think there's some karma in that, very,
Bill loved coming out there.
no, I know I did.
And that's why, you know, several people that I talked to about sponsorship of the course, one said he'd pay for the entire course if they named us. I said, no. Echo Valley, Huffman Prairie. That's the only thing I'll have anything to do with, so.
And the reason he's coming now, we have a window, like, the woods get wet, and they stay
Understood.
wet. So we have a fall window where it's dry back there, and get back there and do a lot of the prep work. Maybe even get some of the T-pads dug and get the form set, get some gravel on them while we have dry ground.
So, I'm assuming you're discussing with Scott a piece of machinery that you're gonna need to buy to work on the trails anyway, is that what I'm hearing?
Correct.
Is this
Defense,
attached?
he came to me 2 years ago to ask about this piece of equipment when I first started.
I'm not implying there's any ulterior motives here. Is it something that attaches to a Bobcat?
Well, it's a Steiner mower for the hillsides that has the sickle arm to do like our brush mower, but
Right.
for the trails, which is something that's
Smaller.
Compact.
Yeah,
Really appreciate that.
something that the three of us would love to have at our own property.
Yeah, it's really low
Yeah,
profile
I
with
know-
the
I know
wide
exactly what
wheels,
it is,
so
yeah.
it can.
Oh, I know, yeah.
That brush cutter on the front of it did a great job on the side of that driveway. Actually, just rode right down the side of the driveway.
Tony's had it out there demoed, he does have some videos of the equipment stuff.
What's that run?
I don't give you the wrong number. I don't have it. That's for next, that's budget issue for maybe next year, so, but I don't have the exact number. I don't remember.
Ballpark it.
It
10,
was
20, 30?
Probably under 40.
Okay. Which we could use it all, yeah.
And then it prevents, it'll do a lot of the edges that will prevent, you know, our guy from having to go out there every year and do the edge perimeter of the park, so.
And cemeteries. Yeah, because he takes a big machine and does cemeteries around the headstones.
Man, that's good.
So,
It would also significantly reduce the price or the man hours of maintaining the trails that are there. That's hard work.
All right, well, that's why I asked the question about carving the rest of it out. I know it is.
So,
but even if you said no, that we weren't gonna do it, honeysuckle abatement is very important, and we've been doing, that's what we've been doing, is taking out honeysuckle everywhere over there, so.
trying to kill all of it.
Every
Every piece of honeysuckle I see, I try to kill.
I'm thinking about naming my place Honeysuckle Farm.
Terrible weed.
It's,
It really is.
please tell me.
To give it credit for
It's in this project.
dedication.
Okay.
Any other
You guys want
questions?
to entertain a motion to, well, we've already got enough money in the thing, do we really need a motion other than to say, we're in favor of doing this project?
I would prefer it be done by motion, just
Okay,
because it's a relatively,
Up to limit on it?
sure. And if we
What do you
get
guys
close to
prefer
that,
as an amount?
I'd like 4,900, because he's gonna do all these whole spots.
I like 10.
Sure you do.
Split the difference.
We can take it out of our summer, take it out of our summer budget for hourly employees.
What do you think dollar-wise? Not to exceed?
Not to exceed 7.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Not to exceed.
Is that all right?
Are we gonna continue trying to get additional sponsors?
My hope, and I actually think it'll be possible, is to get all 18 holes sponsored. Again, I'm contacting disc golfers that are familiar with the course and have a history with it first. And then anything that's left over, open it up for local businesses and stuff. So-
Carl, does that number include the upgrade to the Eagle Ridge course?
No, yeah, that's a separate one on there.
Yeah, I have it in the.
Yeah.
That's what, yeah.
He was doing, I didn't add the two together because
Your numbers for both.
pitching
Yeah,
something
so the
this big, I
basket
wanted to
total
separate.
11.2,
Yes.
and then 18 hole sponsors at 300 apiece is $5,400. So you're at 16.6, 16.6.
Okay.
So you're, with that number, you're 4,900.
Yeah, you're
to
just
us.
under 5.
Yeah. And yeah.
Other expenses could come up, and for this type of project, we can't attract a lot of people to come in and use that land. I don't think we go wrong by supporting it at a little extra in that point. Concrete bags may go up 80 pounds or $1 a bag. It's pretty cheap.
Yeah, I just estimating I had the price on that since I wrote it.
Yeah, I just bought some.
So I mean, the
I
price
didn't
went
get
up, I did too.
I didn't get them for $5 a bag, I can tell you that. That was the lowest, but whatever. Okay. Anybody, if you guys want to make a motion to that effect, to do 7,000, up to 7,000 to support of this project?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Thank you very much,
Yeah,
Jim.
looking forward to seeing.
And I love ball golf, but you gotta try this golf.
So, are you gonna continue to try and play this and improve your skill?
I threw my shoulder out and ripped my bicep.
I'm getting ready to tell him that. As soon as we
So
figure out how to get a card out there, I'll be there.
It's a very strange,
Thank you, Jim.
Right at mower. We got
Thank
that
you.
mower.
I can take one of them discs, as strong as I am, and I can throw that thing 200 feet. And you can see a 12-year-old girl throwing 320 feet. It's an amazing, it's just,
It's a different skill set, isn't it?
yeah, totally.
I was driving by Armco, and I watched, just seeing them out there, and I'm like, I've always found Frisbee to be fascinating to watch people that can do things with a Frisbee, and to me, it's a skill somewhat like that, to be able to maneuver. It's not, it's your arm and, right, I mean, for me, I can take a golf club and do things with a ball.
Put your whole body in it.
Yeah, right.
Then you get the wrist in it, and it's,
So most of the holes are how long? I mean,
I've seen some are 800 feet long,
Okay.
some are average probably 300 to 400 probably.
So is it,
Hard for each work.
yeah, it's set up just like a regular golf course.
Yeah.
I didn't want to use the word regular, but.
Yeah, it's, you know, you get
I'm
out
gonna
and walk
stick
around,
with
it's
it.
nice. But, I know that, but, and I don't even really wanna try to phrase the type of people that play, but they're, I don't wanna say tree huggers, but when they play, I've played and I've seen them see litter and they pick it up as they play, it's not even theirs.
Right.
They almost maintain them themselves, and some of them will go in with, trimmers and trim branches themselves, and
I know what you're talking about. Naturalists is what I would.
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised our fiscal officer hasn't taken a stab at disc golf. You like the height.
I have been all through that property, and it's a good use for the property. I think they work well together and gets people back there, and so it's really nice.
Cool. All right.
And he has ties to the number 1, 2, and 3 players in the entire country, and said, I'll come out here and do like a clinic and bring people in. And I know, like Wysocki, he's the number 1 player in the whole country, and his uncle's a teacher at Miamisburg, so
Oh, wow.
that's how I got stuck into this, playing this game. So my daughter's boyfriend, that's his number 1 player, and all this stuff. So next thing I know, I'm throwing my arm out playing this game that I've never played before. But it is a huge community that's grown and grown and grown. It'd be a good thing for the township, it really would.
Good deal.
Yeah, no, we're limited investment too, yeah. Okay. Planning and zoning, is what was on the consent agenda. Okay. And administration, anything in that?
Yeah.
And we do have the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wayne?
Anything, any staff updates?
I have a few staff updates actually, and then I'll let Chief Gerald talk. Got a thank you today from Detective Barton, directed to the group for their immediate and excellent assistance in working a team with the task force or the search warrant was getting executed, and the road guys were very responsive, and Kevin wanted to specifically thank Scott and Ryan for his skill as an operator, helping them out, so it was very much appreciated, so Kevin.
Good.
Wanted to also bring up that Chief Hagenbrod has, a couple weeks back, earned the CFO certification from the Center for Public Safety Excellence, an accreditation that's shared by over 1,391 people worldwide. It's a culmination of his experience, education, professional development, contributions, association membership, community involvement, and technical competence. So that's something to brag about, Fire Chief.
Radio Steve.
Hold on.
And I mentioned in the email that I sent you with the meeting pack about how Savannah really held Cincinnati Bell Technology accountable. This was a very long and drawn out install for whatever reason. And we're glad it's in the rearview mirror. We pretty much got it settled up and squared as far as all the departments within the fire. And Savannah did a fantastic job. So I wanted to mention that on the record. And Chief.
I just want to recognize some mistakes from the police department. The officers all go through CIT training, which is crisis intervention training every year, and everybody in the county usually goes through that. And then if each agency brings on new people, they send them to that same training to help the officers understand mental illness when we answer a call and so forth. And it's about a week-long class that they go through, and all of our people have been through that. So about a year and a half ago, Sergeant Stacy was tapped to take over that program and run by the county. They had a grant, they employed him, and he does that outside of his work here, which in turn benefits us back. That's where our officers go. So he gets to run that program, and his program, there's a national program, which is NAMI. NAMI recognized his program as the #1 for the year in the country, and he'll be receiving an award next month down at Centos Center. So in a year and a half time, he's taking that to the level. So just something he does off to the side, but it also benefits our police department. All the police departments of Warren and Clinton County go to that program here, and he's done a great job on that, so.
Wow, well, hell, good year.
Can you let us know when that is, that sends out?
I can, yes.
Awesome. Anybody else have anything?
Just to put a flyer on your, for the open house, October 6th from 1 to 4. That's,
If we make it to the finals, I won't be there, but if we don't, I will be there.
that's Wally's program, will be whammy.
He came up with that right away.
He's our comfort sergeant,
See what he
so-
else did there?
Yeah, you don't need to buy it.
Hey, Nanny,
He's
you don't need Nanny, you got, we got.
Yeah, we don't,
That's what
we need blue.
We got
all
all
of it.
we got whammy.
Anything else? Anybody have anything else? Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
So,
Second.
Mr. Gabbard?